Hi everyone, it's Gwen from Tabby with another video about reading tarot and the Tree of Life. In the past couple of videos, we've drawn 3 cards and we've plotted them on the Tree of Life to see what kind of relationships are revealed within a reading. But how do we know where the cards belong? And every tarot card in a 78 card deck has a spot on the Tree of Life, and so you can use any tarot deck that you want with this kind of reading. You can use a Thoth-based deck, you can use a Rider-Waite-Smith based deck, and you can use any deck that's your favorite deck. It can be the Green Witch Tarot, it can be a Cat Tarot, it can be a Space Tarot. Any tarot deck that has 78 cards will work. So if we look at the Tree of Life, you can see that there are 10 Sephiroth, the 10 circles that are there, and these represent kind of stages of development, I think is probably the best way to put it in terms of tarot. And you can see that they're numbered from 1 to 10, and the minors belong in the corresponding Sephiroth. So this is really simple to remember. You have Sephiroth 1 through 10, and you have minors, Ace through 10. So all the aces belong in Sephira 1 in Keter. All the 2s belong in Sephira 2, Chokmah. All the 3s belong in Sephira 3, Bina, and so on down the Tree of Life. So if you draw a 6, you know immediately that belongs in Sephira 6, right in the middle. So you can plot your minors in the Sephiroth. Next, the paths are ruled by major arcana. And again, we start at the top and move down the Tree of Life. So if you look at the top right, you see that the Fool is on the path between Keter and Chokmah. And then look to the left, and you see that the Magus, the Magician, is on the path between Keter and Bina. And then you see that the High Priestess is on the path between Keter, number 1, and Tiferet, number 6, right in the middle. So it's not the same kind of path as the Sephiroth. The Sephiroth make a zigzag down the Tree of Life from Ace to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, all the way down to the 10. And this reflects the energy coming down from Spirit. It's called divine lightning, because it looks like a lightning bolt. But the major arcana don't do that. The major arcana have their own pattern, which we can discuss in another video, because that's how I learned to remember which major arcana goes where, because there are a lot of them. And it doesn't necessarily seem random, but until you see the pattern, when you see the pattern, you're set. So we can discuss that in a future video. But what about the court cards? Where do they go? Because court cards aren't numbered. Well, the court cards each have their own placement on the Tree of Life. You can see that in Chokmah, number 2, I've put knights and kings. In Bina, there are the queens. In Tiferet, there are princes, kings, and knights. And in Malkuth, there are princesses, and this is also where your pages and your knaves will go. So what's going on with Chokmah and Tiferet? Well, I discussed this briefly in a previous video, but just to recap, there are some choices that you can make with your court cards, and this is all based on the information that is given in Book T, which is a book produced by the Order of the Golden Dawn, and they discuss the court cards and where they go on the Tree of Life. So you can put, if you have a Rider-Waite-Smith deck and you have a king and a knight, if you feel that the king belongs in Chokmah, you can read that there, and you then put your knight in the middle. I would say to make your choices in advance and set that intention, because you don't want to be in the middle of a reading and draw a knight and think, oh gosh, where do I put this? Do I put it in Chokmah or Tiferet? You want to know ahead of time where you're going to put things. So the other thing to look for is patterns on the Tree of Life. I just want to say very briefly in this video that patterns are very important on the Tree of Life. The relationship between the cards that you draw and the Sephira that they highlight, the paths that they highlight. You can look not only at what connects what, but what part of the Tree of Life all these cards are on. And are they on either side of a Sephira, for example? So if you looked at, say you drew the Fool and you drew the Magician. Both of those major arcana are at the top of the Tree of Life, and they're on either side of Keter. So you want to look at Keter for your meaning, but also look at the fact that it looks like a mirror. You know, these two paths going off in opposite directions. If you fold it in, it looks like a mirror. So pay attention on the Tree of Life when you're looking at the areas where you're drawing your cards. So are they all on the right? Are they all on the left? Are they balanced? Some on the right, some on the left? And the same thing with the top half and the bottom half. And that is above Tiferet and below Tiferet. So we'll talk about this a little bit more in another video, but I hope that was interesting. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I'll see you in the next video.